Jamaica and Cuba on alert for potential storm in the Caribbean. And now the latest around the wide world of tropics. Tropical weather bulletin for November 17th. A few systems to watch: a fully fledged tropical storm in the Bay of Bengal and developing cyclone in the Caribbean Sea, which has been designated as potential tropical cyclone 22 from the National Hurricane Center. We're code yellow and we've had 77 storms this year, and let's take a look at what's active right now. So in the Atlantic, we've got this potential tropical cyclone, but we're still really not convinced in whether it will become an actual tropical cyclone or not, and only a 50% chance. National Hurricane Center higher at 70%, but certainly you'd be a fool not to acknowledge that storm force winds and very heavy rainfall will be lashing that area in the next couple of days. In the Eastern Pacific, we've not identified any areas of interest, but the National Hurricane Center do have a low chance for that system in the center right of that image there that's starting to blow up some convection. So interesting. In the Western Pacific, we're giving a 50% chance still for what was Tropical Depression 17W from the JTWC, although it really showed no signs of it being one, and 30% for the system further east. That's lost some support in the last day, but certainly the Philippines could get hit by lots of rainfall. Now, that tropical storm still unnamed in the Bay of Bengal, but the Indian authorities have identified it as a deep depression, and they think it will get named in the next few hours, and the 20% area of interest behind that, which could end up forming in the Bay of Bengal as well. In the southern hemisphere, we're looking east of the dateline now, because Mal has crossed over and is headed right out over the very deep extratropical zones of the Pacific now and out towards, well, no man's land really. So let's take a look at where this Bay of Bengal storm is right now. We're giving it 45 mph winds at the moment, and we're expecting a peak near 50 mph shortly before landfall. It is 260 kilometers from Kolkata, just along the coast there, 261 from Balasore, northwest, 302 from Kolkata, 370 from the island of Bhola, and 468 from the Bangladesh capital, Dhaka. Moving northeasterly, it's expected to make landfall probably in about 24 hours. It's not moving that quickly at the moment. And this is PTC 22, a tropical storm watch in effect for Jamaica, Haiti, Cuba, from Guantanamo to Las Tunas, the southeastern Bahamas, and the Turks and Caicos Islands. It is 75 kilometers from a tiny island in the Caribbean there, Isla Serenilla, 436 from Montego Bay, Jamaica, 483 from Kingston, the capital, 709 from Santiago de Cuba, and 764 from Guantanamo. This storm will deliver substantial rainfall over the region, particularly in southeastern Cuba. Let's take a look at satellite imagery of all of the systems that we're currently investigating. Well, this is the potential tropical cyclone, and it really does look like a mess right now. And it does look like it's got somewhat of an upper level rotation there off the west coast of Jamaica, but the actual center is way to the southwest still, not too far from the coast of Nicaragua and Honduras. Well, there it is. You can see it much more clearly on the visible imagery. Center relocations are very possible from this system, and if it does ever get a proper center or not, that's still a big question mark, and I'm still not convinced at all that it will become a tropical cyclone, but still that chance is definitely there, and it's a decent one. Now, lots of rain occurring there over Jamaica and parts of Cuba already, so that will already be affecting that area. Meanwhile, Bay of Bengal, a big dome of convection now overlapping the coastline of West Bengal and into Bangladesh, with massive amounts there exceeding over minus 80 degrees Celsius cloud tops. Apart from that, not much else going on in that storm's favour, but you can see that that rainfall is training over the coast of Bangladesh there, the western part of the coast, and that's going to continue and possibly cause flooding. Now, this is the Western Pacific, that area of interest that we're watching southeast of Guam there right now, and to the east of it a little bit more of that as well, and that's the system that we're watching. And towards the west, that big blow up of convection not far from Yap and Palau, that's the western system. That was 17W heading towards the Philippines. Oceanic heat temperatures, not OHC, but the sea surface temperatures, remain fairly warm along the coast of Mexico. Still some chances for the eastern Pacific. In the Atlantic, for the Caribbean, where this system is, temperatures are generally over 30 degrees or near 30 degrees Celsius. That will continue pretty much all the way through the tropical storm watch zone through the Turks and Caicos Islands. In the western Pacific, it's the lowest latitudes that still remain very warm along the coast of the Philippines as well. On all sides, temperatures still looking good around 30 degrees Celsius. Further north, those temperatures are receding, but slowly. In the Bay of Bengal, that system that we're watching there is getting close to pretty cool sea surface temperatures, around 27 degrees, certainly not as warm as further south where it's touching 30. So it could get against it a little bit fairly soon. Off the coast of Madagascar, those temperatures are still warming up there as well, and heading towards Mauritius, where those temperatures are around 27 degrees at this point. Off the coast of Australia, temperatures are ballooning up over 30 to 32 degrees Celsius north of Western Australia, and the Gulf of Carpentaria also warming still. The South Pacific really looking good around Fiji now, with temperatures pushing close towards 28 degrees Celsius, and that's been increasing quite a bit in the last week. Compared to average, the South China Sea is extremely warm above average, as is parts of the Southwest Indian Ocean, especially around Mauritius and Rodrigues. Around Australia it's near average, but a few cool spots there, and the El Nino effect still dominant in the eastern Pacific. The Caribbean Sea is around 1 to 2 degrees above average generally, warmer further south where this system is right now compared to the norm. There is still a significant amount of oceanic heat content pretty much lined up for this potential tropical cyclone. It will be moving quickly over that area though, so it may not have its desired effect. In the eastern Pacific, only a small amount of oceanic heat content remaining, but it's still holding on a little bit. And in the western Pacific, we've still got a nice line there of decent energy values extending from Luzon in the Philippines through to the Mariana Islands. Check the computer models for the next 5 days and you will see, first of all, in the Caribbean, this storm moving through, but it's quite difficult to pin down, and it's very difficult to even track on this forecast here, and other models really struggling with it as well. So I'm still not convinced we'll get a fully fledged tropical cyclone. It could certainly happen. I think it would be very short-lived if it did, and I don't think it will last the, say, 3 days that National Hurricane Center are currently expecting. In the Western Pacific, models have largely given up on both these two systems as well. The first one moving through the Philippines is a weak system, the second one not becoming anything at all until it passes the Mariana Islands and then getting up there through the northern Philippine Sea and trying to become a tropical cyclone up there. Well, chances are really fading, I feel, on that one, as is that western one, but there's still a chance that it could develop into something on the other side of the Philippines. Now this is the Bay of Bengal cyclone, strengthening a little bit just before that landfall. Could make landfall on the island of Bhola and then move inland over the northeast, over the Ganges River Delta region and through possibly towards India or Myanmar. So there it is again, moving through quite quickly in the next 24 hours, and then eventually this second storm starting to appear towards the weekend and starting to form into a tropical cyclone possibly off the coast of India. Over the next 7 days, this is what we're looking at in terms of rainfall expectations, and they are quite high for a few regions here. We've got monsoonal activity along the Malay Peninsula, delivering lots of rain there. In the Philippines, still a lot from this area of interest, 17W, and obviously the amount from this tropical storm in the Bay of Bengal, producing potentially 16 inches along the coast of Bangladesh and West Bengal. That's 400 millimeters. For the Malay Peninsula, it could be 27 inches. That's not far from 700 millimeters of rain, and a similar amount there for part of the Philippines as well. 27 inches, not far from Tacloban there by the looks of things, and it's quite high values further north as well in the 300-400 millimeter range. Well, in the moderate range, we're actually looking at the Eastern Pacific, where there's two systems, would you believe, that the GFS are flagging up as potential tropical cyclones. The one on the right-hand side, that will be the one that the National Hurricane Center have noted as that 20%, I think they did, in the next 7 days. So could there still be a little bit of hope remaining for another Eastern Pacific storm? It did seem as though the season was well and truly done for. Well, that's a big wait and see there. And once again in this Indian Ocean and Western Pacific region, there's the GFS calling for a regeneration of 17W in the South China Sea, becoming a potent tropical storm, and then eventually losing it and making landfall in central Vietnam. Meanwhile, Bay of Bengal, that system continues there, tropical depression sauntering towards the southwest and eventually reaching the northern tip of Sri Lanka there, which would certainly be an odd track to behold. Scan the barcode and that will take you to the Force 13 merch store, where we have all of our usual items and also our full season and individual storm animations on request. We also have our Still Waiting for Hone t-shirts, and that wasn't in the Central Pacific, so it's not going to be a Hone. And once again, I'm losing my breath here. No silly range tonight. There's nothing in the long range. So I leave you with our Discord server, discord.gg/force13 for tropical weather chat and much more. Well, on this day, the old millennium went out with a bang in the form of Hurricane Lenny, which was peaking on this day on November 17th, 1999 to the southeast of Puerto Rico. There it is, with wind speeds of 155 miles per hour at its peak intensity, famed of course for going the wrong way, and it really did in an extreme fashion. Forming in the Western Caribbean, ended up going to the Eastern Caribbean. Not just that, but becoming such a strong storm in the process, an extremely rare sighting. Back to today, and the next name in the Atlantic is Vince. Do you think they will get it? I think it might happen. The Eastern Pacific, the next name is Ramon, and in the Central Pacific, we are of course still waiting for Hone. We're 15 named or nameable storms away from the average. In the Western Pacific, the next name is Jelawat. The North Indian Ocean, Midhili, and that could be coming anytime, and that would be certainly welcome. And in the Southern Hemisphere, the next name in the Southwest Indian Ocean is Alvaro, that's the first name. In the Australian region, it's Jasper, and in the South Pacific, it will be Nat. That's all from tonight's Tropical Weather Bulletin. We'll be back again tomorrow night with more updates in between if necessary.